Take a deep breath and just relax. Let your body become very still and your mind a clear ocean. We are going to take a journey together to a time that is happening right now in a place that may seem far away, and yet distance is meaningless to us. I want you to imagine that you are sitting around a fire with dear friends who you have traveled with now for 3 years. These are people that you have given your life to, people who you have opened your heart to, men and women who have been following the Master, the Rabbi, Yeshua. And you have seen miracles, and you have felt the world opening up in a way that you never thought was possible. For now you see through him the real world, and your heart begins to expand as you sit here at this fire, listening to the sounds, looking around at the men and women who are there with you. And then you hear footsteps coming towards you. And you know that it's him. It's Yeshua. He's coming towards you now, and he puts his hand on your shoulder, and he sits down right next to you, right by the fire. And you feel the warmth not only of the fire, but of his presence, and it touches that same light and warmth within you. And you look to him, and he smiles. For you know that this is one of those special nights when he is going to open up the secrets to the kingdom. And so you take a deep breath, you relax, and you listen to your teacher as he shares the depths of his open knowledge and heart. How simple is salvation, he says. All it says is what was never true is not true now, and never will be. The impossible has not occurred and can have no effects, and that's all. Can this be hard to learn by anyone who wants it to be true? Only unwillingness to learn it could make such an easy lesson difficult. How hard is it to see that what is false cannot be true, and what is true cannot be false and true? You have been told exactly how to tell one from the other, and just what to do if you become confused. Why then do you persist in learning not such simple things? There is a reason, but confuse it not with difficulty in the simple things that salvation asks you to learn. It teaches but the very obvious. It merely goes from one apparent lesson to the next in easy steps that lead you gently from one to another with no strain at all. This cannot be confusing, and yet you are confused. For somehow you believe that what is totally confused is easier to learn and to understand. What you have taught yourself is such a giant learning feat. It is indeed incredible. But you accomplished it because you wanted to, and did not pause in diligence to judge it hard to learn or too complex to grasp. No one who understands what you have learned, how carefully you learned it, and the pains to which you went to practice and repeat the lessons endlessly in every form that you could conceive of them, could ever doubt the power in your learning skill. There is no greater power in the world. The world was made by it. Listen. And even now depends on nothing else. The lessons that you have taught yourself have been so overlearned and fixed that they rise like heavy curtains to obscure the simple and the obvious. Say not that you cannot learn them, for your power to learn is strong enough to teach you that your will is not your own. Your thoughts do not belong to you, and even you are someone else. Who could contain that lessons such as these are easy? Yet you have learned more than this. You have continued taking every step, however difficult, without complaint, until a world was built that suited you. Listen, because every lesson that makes up the world arises from the first accomplishment of learning. An enormity so great, the Holy Spirit's voice seems small and still before its magnitude. The world began with one strange lesson, powerful enough to render God forgotten and his Son an alien to himself in exile from the home where God himself established him. You who have taught yourself the Son of God is guilty, say not that you cannot learn the simple things salvation teaches you. Learning is an ability that you made and gave yourself. It was not made to do the will of God, but to uphold a wish that it could be opposed. The will of God could be opposed. And that a will apart from it was yet more real than it. And this has learning sought to demonstrate, that you have learned what it was made to teach. And now does your ancient overlearning stand implacable before the voice of truth and teach you that its lessons are not true, too hard to learn, too difficult to see, and too opposed to what is really true. Yet you will learn them, for their learning is the only purpose for your learning skill the Holy Spirit sees in all the world. His simple lessons in forgiveness have a power mightier than yours, because they call from God and from yourself to you. Is this a little voice, so small and still it cannot rise above the senseless noise of sounds that have no meaning? God willed not his Son forget him. Let me say that again. God willed not his Son forget him. And the power of his will is in the voice that speaks for him. Which lesson will you learn? What outcome is inevitable, sure as God, and far beyond all doubt and question? Can it be your little learning, strange in outcome and incredible in difficulty, will withstand the simple lessons being taught to you in every moment of each day, since time began and learning had been made? The lessons to be learned are only two. Only two. Each has its outcome in a different world, and each world follows surely from its source. The certain outcome of the lesson that God's Son is guilty is the world that you see. It is a world of terror and despair, nor is there hope of happiness in it. There's no plan for safety you can make that will ever succeed. There is no joy that you can seek for here and hope to find it. Yet, this is not the only outcome which your learning can produce. However much you may have overlearned your chosen task, the lesson that reflects the love of God is stronger still. And you will learn God's Son is innocent and see another world. And Yeshua, puts his hand on your shoulder again and smiles, looks around the group still sitting there at the fire. And he stands and he walks away into the darkness. And yet you feel the power of his lesson moving within you like an unborn child, moving as you, completely integrated now. As you come back to your body in this moment, taking a deep, deep breath and remembering all that you have learned. Is this a little voice, so small it cannot rise above the senseless noise that has no meaning? No one who understands how carefully you've learned could ever doubt the power of your learning. How simple is salvation? How simple salvation? How simple is salvation? How simple